And so, I finally figured out what to do to keep from committing suicide. So, I think I told you before, or maybe you weren't listening. Maybe you never listen. That could be interesting. You just watch while you're cooking dinner and say, "What's he saying now?" And your husband says, "Who the hell cares? We got nothing else to watch. We'll watch him. Are the potatoes cooked yet?" Anyway, I have about 100, count them, 100 scripts, teleplays, and movies that I was in, and for some reason or other, in my whole life, I'm not a big saver of anything. I throw anything away. I don't care what it is. I have no sentimental yada yada. But the scripts, they kind of become a part of you. When you're writing your notes, what I'm going to do in this scene, what I want to, that's, I guess it's kind of the only part of me that's of any use at all to anybody in the world, and that's the creative part. These are scripts. They're not copies. There's probably 2,000 or 3,000 scripts of the greatest story ever told. And there's probably 2,000 or 3,000 scripts of The Godfather. But they're all copies. You can make millions of copies of scripts, and you can get a stamp and stamp anybody's name you want. So anyway, me and my entire staff and whoever else wants to take part in it, we dreamt up this thing called a website. So I have this website, and it's called Robert Blake's Pushcart, and you'll see it when you turn to the website. And there's a picture of a pushcart, there's a picture of me when I was a little whipper, and there's this and there's that, and then you finally get to the reason for the website. Now, everybody has tons of reasons for their websites. And I had a website, but I never used it for anything. I didn't have any reason for the website. But I have a reason for one now, because I have these 100 scripts, and I live in an apartment. And the garbage dump is only about 50 feet down the hall. And the scripts almost went in the garbage dump. And some genius friend of mine that I can't remember said, "Why don't you have a website and sell the scripts? Because people want them." Now, I live in Hollywood. People don't really want scripts around here because it's their lifestyle. But the people in Iowa, people in Chicago, other places, their only connection with show business is maybe they get an autographed picture if they pay enough money, and then the autographed picture isn't an original picture, it's one of 100,000 copies. And They stamp your name on it, and somebody pays $20, and you got a picture of Robert Blake in Electric Line blue. And that ain't worth nothing, because there's nothing personal about it. But I promise you that this website, Robert Blake's Pushcart, is going to be all original. One-of-a-kind photographs, one-of-a-kind scripts. Like here's a script called Naked City, which I shot back in 1961. For those of you who are old enough and can still hear and see and walk, and I can't do any of those things very well at all. There's a really good thing about not hearing well, because 98% of the people around me have nothing to say that I want to hear. They think it's very important and profound, and they talk for hours, assuming that they are creative giants. And I don't think what they have to say is worth a row of rat shit in a windstorm. But because I can't hear it, all I gotta do is smile. And they think that they're on the same level as me, and we're discussing important, dramatic shit. And we ain't discussing nothing, and I ain't listening, and it works out great. But here's a script called Naked City. And for those of you who are old enough, it's a script, a movie. It was a very successful television show. Very, very successful. E.G. Marshall, wonderful actor, good people in it. And I did one because they had a show, it's called New York to L.A. And me and Frank Sutton played my brother. And we were the bad guys, and we ran from New York to Los Angeles. Now I have this script, and this is a one-of-a-kind Naked City, not a copy. And inside it are all of my actors' notes, what I'm going to do in this scene, what I'm going to do in that scene. All my notes are in here, and I'm going to sell this script to somebody who wants to buy it. If they don't buy it, you know where it's going? Down the hall. Down the hall and in the chute, and it'll become fertilizer for somebody's rose garden. And that's not a bad ending for it either. So I have all these scripts. What's this one here? Alfred Hitchcock Presents. This goes back to, Jesus, 1959. This is an original script. There isn't another one like it in the world. There's copies and all that junk, but I really don't understand why anybody would want to buy a copy of a script. There are thousands of copies of The Godfather. But who the hell would want to buy a copy of The Godfather? I mean, if you got the original one with Al Pacino's acting notes in it, that would be something. That would be something special. It would even have Pacino's hand marks on it. But to buy something where there are thousands of them out there, And I can understand why people do it. I mean, somebody in Georgia that's very connected with show business and sees all the movies and stuff, they got no choice, so they buy that. Well, I'm going to sell them this one. It's called Alfred Hitchcock Presents Dry Run, teleplay by Ballinger, story by Norman Struther. And it's kind of nice. See, there's my writing. Not that that's worth anything to anybody, but it's worth something to a fan of Alfred Hitchcock. And there might even be a Robert Blake fan out there. And there's all my writing about how I'm going to play the scene. And I promise you this, and I mean I swear to you on the head of every child in the world, if I'm lying, I hope I die. That's the only Alfred Hitchcock Presents that's an original. Unless there's some other nut out there, actor, who saves scripts and is selling them to you. What do we got here? This property is condemned. That was Natalie Wood, my dear, 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 darling, darling, darling friend. This property is condemned. That was a Tennessee Williams play, a one-act Tennessee Williams play. And Francis Ford Coppola and Fred Coe wrote the screenplay for it. Now, everybody knows Coppola became a big deal, but this was long before he became a big deal. He was just another writer schlubbing along, getting whatever he could. And he wrote the screenplay for this. It's been revised several times. Now, there's nothing particular to see. Oh, see, the first rewrites are always in blue pages. Those are blue pages. That means that it's a rewrite. And so that's this property is condemned. What else do we have here? This is, another FBI. I did about a half a dozen of those. Mouthful of Dust. I played an Indian. And in the movie, everything worked out fine, but in reality, a horse bucked me off and I wound up in the hospital. So there's the FBI. These are my acting notes. This was shot in 1965. And once again, we're talking all original. Yellow pages come after the blue pages. And this script, they obviously kept rewriting it all the way through because you can see the different colored pages where they kept writing. I guess it had to end sometime. The last page is just for laughs. So, some of the stuff that I'm going to put up for sale that you may or may not buy, like this Willie Boy package. Now here's something that's really, there's Catherine Ross and me, Catherine Ross and me, Catherine Ross running. Here's real pictures of Willie Boy. Interesting stuff. Now this is something These are all actors' notes. This is all notes that I'm writing to myself, so I know what the hell I'm doing when I get in front of the camera. All my notes. I know I did this before, because some of this is familiar. I may have even shown you some of this before. Can you believe it? This poor, pathetic actor has to write this much shit to do 1 page of acting. I must have been very insecure. Willie Boy. There's the original. Abraham Polanski wrote it and directed it. Now, Abraham Polanski, when he was young, he did Body and Soul. He wrote it and he directed it with John Garfield. They were blacklisted with the communist witch hunt. So Garfield couldn't work and Abe Polanski couldn't work for years. But Polanski came back and they gave him a shot and he did Willie Boy. And I think someplace I told you the story about how I got the part. There was another guy set to play the part, and I had a job that was going to Europe, and I didn't want to go to Europe. I had no intentions of going to Europe. So I went to Universal, and I lied. I lied to everybody. I lied to the Black Tower. I went and I lied to Abraham Polanski, and I told him what I would do with the part, and that I would work for 1/3 the price that the guy that they already hired had. And so Polanski said, well, we've already hired him, it's a difficult situation. He said, call up there in the Black Tower. So I called the Black Tower, and I called the big giant boss of the world up there. I imitated Polanski. Hello, Jennings? Jennings! Jennings Lang was the boss. I have Robert Blake down here, and I think I've changed my mind. I'm considering him for the part, and I want you to have a discussion with him. I don't really have his accent right because he had more of a European accent. Anyway, I went up there and I hustled him and I got the job. All of these jobs, you get the San Quentin story. Can you believe it that we made movies at Allied Artists in 5 days? We shot the San Quentin story in 5 days. My name is Rudy Hernandez, and this is the script. Here, oh, this is interesting stuff. This is a shooting schedule. Who's working on what day, what time they're coming for lunch, who's the cast that's working today, all that kind of stuff. Probably most of you have never seen a shooting schedule, so this might be more interesting to you. 100 scripts. One way or the other, they're all going. Whether they go down the hall, whether I open the window on the freeway and throw them out 1 page at a time, or whether I sell them to you. They're going. Now, the shopping cart, you're going to be able to talk to the shopping cart. They're setting it up so you can talk to the shopping cart, and I can actually look at you and talk to you. So if you buy a script, I'll tell you about the script. And I'll sign it to you. You tell me what your name is or what her name is. And that's how we'll do it. We'll do it very simple and very personal, because I'm not interested in selling 100 copies of Willie Boy. I'm only interested in selling that picture. And when that picture's gone, that's all there is to it. Now, if you want to take it and copy it and sell 100 copies, I don't care. But this is the original, and it's a one of a kind, and it's the only one in existence. And you can see it's sealed up in cardboard, so you have to tear it up to get it out. But all of this stuff is going. And Truman's book, Truman never has been very far away from me. And he's never, there are certain people in my life, like Gavin MacLeod. Everybody said, oh my God, Gavin MacLeod died. Like he went someplace. Did he really go someplace? Is Truman really that far away from me? When I'm laying in bed at night and I talk to him, am I insane? Because there is no Truman? There's just some bones in a box someplace? Is that really the way it works? Can anybody, and I don't care, Catholic, Jew, all the religions in the world, can they all tell me what happens when you stop breathing and they say this person is dead? Can you really tell me for sure? Would you bet your children's life on it that you know what happens when this busted up old body quits? Because I don't think Gavin's gone. Sometimes I think he's closer to me now than when he was alive. And I don't think Truman's gone. And I could be just as right or just as wrong as you. It's easy to say, put him in a box and cover him with dirt. He's done. He's fertilizer. She's fertilizer. It's over. Is it ever really over? Does it ever really begin? Did my life begin when I was conceived? Or was there a soul already there, waiting to grow up and come out? What is the soul? Everybody prays, and they all pray to something, or somebody, or something. I know a guy who prays to a tree. And he believes just as much in that tree as when you walk into a temple and you pray. I haven't spent a lifetime. You know, I've been in front of you since I was 2 years old. As soon as I could dance and sing on the sidewalk, I started dancing and singing. And I have never been a part of you. I've always been in front of you, entertaining you. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. But that's where I have felt comfortable. I feel comfortable here with all of my life spread out around me. I don't know where it's all going, but I pray that it's gone before I croak. Now, I know a lot of people that have websites. Shirley MacLaine has had a website for as long as I've known her. And she sells all kinds of things on it. Her own books. Who knows? She might invent a toothbrush and sell it. I don't know. And that's all okay. You know, Oprah Winfrey sells everything in the world. I guess I could get a bunch of pictures. I may have a bunch of pictures. I got a bunch of boxes that I haven't opened in years. I got, pictures all those years where I spent on at Republic, working with Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, Bill Elliott, dozens of them. And I have a lot of photographs, tons of photographs from Republic Studios. And I guess I'll sell them too. No point in keeping them around, because when I croak, somebody's going to throw them away. Or some schmuck's going to take them and try to make a buck on them. But I got a whole bunch of stuff from Republic. I haven't even begun to open the Republic Studio boxes when I was Little Beaver. I mean, I was a big deal. I was a very big deal because I was the only kid Western actor. There were a lot of Margaret O'Briens and a lot of Dean Stockwells and a lot of Bobby Driscolls, but there was only one cowboy kid star, and that was me. And I remember getting thousands of fan mail letters every day. So I should pull out all those pictures. All those pictures. I gotta say there's several hundred pictures from cowboy movies. Just like these scripts here, only they're pictures. And I'm gonna get rid of them too. Now this is just me introducing you to Robert Blake's pushcart, because this is what you're gonna see on the pushcart, is the collection of my life from 5 years old till today. When I was 5 years old, I was under contract to MGM, and they shot 8x10 pictures of me every day. Me and Buckwheat and Alfie and Spank and Darla and the gang, they shot pictures of us every day. And I got tons of those pictures. The funniest one is when Alfie became a scientist, and he mixed up the wrong brew and his belly swelled up, and we had to keep him from exploding. And some of the funniest pictures in the world are us. There was one scene I remember we tied pillows on Alfie's butt, so if he sat down he wouldn't explode. And we tied pillows under his feet, so if he walked he wouldn't explode. And I guess he didn't explode because he was in the next episode. I have pictures of the dog. I knew Petey very well, and I knew the guy who owned Petey, and I used to play with Petey all the time. And he hated to sit there and have them paint that ring around his eye every day. But he had to do it because that's how he made his money. Anyway, I'm going to tune out for now, but this is just something to explain to you why I have the Pushcart website. It isn't to become like a lot of people talk back and forth to their fans and their friends. I know that there's this one guy who's always bugging me, and he says, listen, I can call people in Minnesota and I can get 50 of them in a front room, and I can have you sitting there with this new internet stuff answering their questions, and you can talk to them for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and we'll depend. We may charge them $25 a piece to come in. And I say, well, how about if we charge them nothing? And I just sit there and talk to them. Then I won't feel guilty, and they won't feel like they're being hustled. And I ain't got nothing better to do. And I'd love to be able to talk to them, but I'd feel a little bit funny. At least if I give them a picture, I'm giving them something. They're buying something. They're buying something they want, and they don't have to buy it if they don't want it. But it would be nice. But this guy ain't gonna do that. He's gonna find some way to make some dough on Robert Blake before Robert Blake croaks. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't know. This is a long conversation, but that's okay, because I can put it on I Ain't Dead Yet. I can put it on whatever all those things are that people put things on. I don't use a computer, so I don't know what the hell they put it on, but they put it on Amazon and wherever the hell they put it. It's time for all of it go. I ain't planning on croaking, but everybody's one heartbeat away from checking out. But like I said, Gavin didn't go very far at all, and Truman didn't go very far at all. And I probably have other friends that are gone, and they ain't really gone. Maybe that's what keeps me going. Anyway, I'll enjoy selling the scripts to you and talking to you about them. I have the Electric Light script here someplace. I have the Beretta script. I have everything I ever did is here someplace. And for now, I'll see you soon.